My name is John, and just over a year ago, I had a moment that shook me to my core, one I'll never forget. At 62, I thought I was just living a typical retired life. I had worked hard for decades as a businessman, dealing with long hours, high stress, and grabbing quick meals whenever I could. I carried those habits into retirement, thinking I'd earned the right to take it easy. My days revolved around convenience, takeout for dinner, snacks while watching TV, and minimal physical activity. Sure, I was overweight, my blood pressure had been climbing for years, and I felt constantly tired, but I figured that was just part of getting older. In the back of my mind, I knew I wasn't in great shape. My doctor had mentioned it during checkups. Terms like prehypertension and high cholesterol came up more than once, but I brushed it off. I'll deal with it eventually, I'd tell myself. I'm too busy to worry about it right now. And besides, I didn't feel sick, not really. I thought I had time. Then one evening, everything changed. I was sitting on the couch after dinner, flipping through TV channels with a bag of chips in my hand. It was a regular night, nothing out of the ordinary. Suddenly, I felt a sharp, crushing pain in my chest. It wasn't mild or gradual, it hit me like a ton of bricks. My chest felt like it was in a vise, and the pain started radiating into my left arm. A cold sweat broke out on my forehead, and I struggled to catch my breath. At first, I tried to dismiss it. Maybe it's just heartburn, I thought. But as the pain grew worse, panic set in. My heart was racing out of control, and I could feel myself getting lightheaded. In that moment, all I could think about was my wife and kids. Was this it? Was I about to have a heart attack, or worse, die right there on the couch? I fumbled for my phone and called 911. The minutes waiting for the ambulance felt like an eternity. When the paramedics arrived, they moved quickly, hooking me up to monitors and stabilizing me before rushing me to the hospital. As I lay in the back of the ambulance, staring at the ceiling, all I could think about was how much I regretted ignoring the warning signs. I thought about the trips I still wanted to take, the memories I hadn't made with my grandchildren, and the things I had left undone. At the hospital, the doctors ran a series of tests. Thankfully, it wasn't a heart attack, but it was close. A severe episode that they said could easily have gone the other way. My cardiologist didn't mince words. He looked me straight in the eye and said, "John, you're playing Russian roulette with your health. Your blood pressure is through the roof, your cholesterol is dangerously high, and your heart is under immense strain. If you don't make drastic changes right now, you might not get another warning. The next time, it could be fatal." Those words hit me harder than the chest pain. I had always prided myself on being in control of my business, my family, my life. But now, I realized how little control I had over my health. I had been neglecting the one thing that truly mattered, my heart. As I sat in that hospital bed, hooked up to monitors, I made a decision. I wasn't going to let this be the end of my story. I wasn't going to let my lifestyle kill me. I was going to fight for my health, no matter how hard it was or how much I had to change. That moment was my wake-up call, and I wasn't going to ignore it. The ride home from the hospital was quiet, but my mind wasn't. I started mentally listing all the changes I needed to make. No more excuses, no more procrastination. I had been given a second chance, and I was determined not to waste it. Leaving the hospital that day, I felt a mix of fear and determination. Fear of what might happen if I didn't change, and determination to finally take control of my health. The first thing I did when I got home was throw out the junk food. Chips, frozen dinners, sugary sodas, everything that had been my go-to for years went straight into the trash. It felt symbolic, like I was clearing out the bad habits that had brought me so close to disaster. I started with my diet. This was the toughest change for me because, let's be honest, I loved greasy burgers, fried chicken, and salty snacks. But I knew those comfort foods were killing me. I replaced them with heart-healthy options: fresh vegetables, whole grains, lean proteins like grilled chicken and fish, and foods rich in omega-3s like salmon and walnuts. I swapped my morning donuts for oatmeal topped with berries and nuts. For lunch, instead of fast food, I made salads loaded with leafy greens, avocado, and a drizzle of olive oil. Dinner became a plate of steamed vegetables, a portion of brown rice, and a piece of baked fish. At first, I missed the flavors of my old favorites, but as the days went on, I realized how much better I felt after eating these clean, nourishing meals. Next came exercise. This was a foreign concept to me. The most physical activity I'd done in years was walking from the couch to the fridge. I started small, just a 10-minute walk around the block. Those first walks were harder than I expected. My legs felt heavy, and I was out of breath before I even finished, but I kept at it. Every day I pushed myself to go a little farther. By the end of the first month, I was walking for 20 minutes. By the second month, I was up to 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week. As I got stronger, I added variety to my routine. I started doing light stretches in the morning to improve my flexibility and reduce stiffness. Eventually, I worked up to using small hand weights for resistance exercises to strengthen my muscles. Every milestone, no matter how small, felt like a victory. Stress had always been my silent killer, creeping into every corner of my life. I realized that managing my stress was just as important as eating right and exercising. I began meditating for 10 minutes every morning, focusing on deep breathing and clearing my mind. At first, I felt silly sitting there with my eyes closed, but over time, it became one of my favorite parts of the day. I also rediscovered an old passion: gardening. There was something deeply calming about tending to the plants, feeling the soil in my hands, and watching things grow. Support was another critical piece of the puzzle. My wife joined me on my walks and adopted the same healthy eating habits. Together, we became each other's accountability partners, cheering each other on when it got tough. Even my kids got involved, sending me recipes and joining me for family walks when they visited. The first few months were challenging. There were days when I wanted to give up, when I craved my old habits or felt too tired to exercise. But every time I thought about quitting, I remembered the doctor's warning. The next time, it could be fatal. That thought kept me going. Slowly but surely, I started to notice changes. I was losing weight, not quickly but steadily. My energy levels improved, and I no longer felt winded after climbing a flight of stairs. My blood pressure readings began to drop, and my doctor was thrilled with my progress during my follow-up visits. For the first time in years, I felt in control of my body and my health. Each healthy meal, each step taken, each moment of calm I carved out for myself, it all added up to something I hadn't felt in a long time: hope. 6 months into my new lifestyle, I barely recognized myself, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. I had shed 25 pounds, but more importantly, I had shed years of neglect and bad habits. My blood pressure was no longer a source of constant worry. my doctor told me I had made incredible progress. For the first time in a long time, I walked into my appointments with pride instead of dread. Beyond the numbers on the scale or the readings on the blood pressure cuff, the changes were evident in how I lived my life. I had energy to spare, something I hadn't experienced in years. Instead of spending evenings glued to the couch, I spent them cooking with my wife, tending to my garden, or walking through the park as the sun set. My confidence returned. I felt more present, more engaged, and more alive. One of the biggest surprises was how my new habits inspired those around me. My kids started joining me for walks when they visited, marveling at how different I seemed. My wife embraced the changes as well, and together we discovered new recipes, planned our meals, and found joy in healthy living. Even my friends began asking me for advice. Seeing how my transformation impacted others made the journey even more rewarding. Every day felt like a new chance to do better, live better, and feel better. It wasn't always easy. There were still moments of temptation, and I occasionally missed the convenience of my old habits. But every time I felt myself slipping, I remembered that night in the hospital and the doctor's warning. I had been given a second chance, and I wasn't going to waste it. I also learned to focus on gratitude. Gratitude for the food that nourished me, for the strength in my legs that carried me on my walks, and for the people who supported me every step of the way. Life felt fuller, richer, and more meaningful than it had in decades. Today, I'm living proof that it's never too late to change. My journey wasn't about perfection, it was about progress. Each small step added up to a transformation that saved my life. If you're reading this and you feel stuck, remember that you hold the power to change your future. Start with one small step. Swap one unhealthy meal for a nutritious one. Take a short walk, even if it's just around your home. Breathe deeply and find moments of calm amidst the chaos. Your heart is your lifeline. Treat it with care, and it will reward you with years of health, vitality, and joy. Don't wait for a wake-up call like I did. Start today. As I often tell others now, the best time to take care of your heart was yesterday. The second best time is right now. If this video provided any value to you, please like and share your story in comments. If you want to hear more such stories, please subscribe the channel Healthy Elders.